Thank you. Thank you, Frank. I accept your nomination and your check is in the mail. Good evening. Bonjour, mon ami. When you walk through the storm, hold your head up high. Don't be afraid of the dark. At the end of the storm, there's a golden sky and the sweet silver song of the Lord. Walk on through the wind. Walk on through the rain. Though your dreams be tossed and blown, walk on with hope in your heart. And you'll never walk alone. There's a sweet, sweet spirit in this place. And I know that it's the Spirit of the Lord. There's a sweet expression on each face. And I know that it's the presence of the Lord. Brian Norris, he said it with a revival. I would have said that had he not done so. I want to thank you for inviting me. It is an honor and an humbling experience to be here. When you're 74, it's an honor to be anywhere. So I'm glad to be here with all of you. My wife and I have been practicing texting. The younger generation think they own everything. We got OMG, LOL, and a whole lot of other things. So before I got up here, I felt the vibration in my phone. It was my wife sitting next to me, sending me a text. She said, B, 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 B. For the uninitiated, that means, be brief, brother, be brief. So if I obey her, which I seldom do, then you have her to thank for that. Please allow me one brief moment of reflection. I came to Redknapp County to teach French and English in 1968 at the age of 20. That means I'm 74. So don't worry about doing the math on the calculator. I plan to stay 1 year and then go back to Monroe, Georgia, where I was born, and teach there for a while. If you want to see God smile, tell him what you're going to be doing next year. It just tickles him because he knows. I stayed in 8 years, left. Some guys never learn. Came back and stayed 4 more. I am forever indebted to students, parents, colleagues, and community members who helped me become a teacher and an educational leader. Did you ever know, former students, that you are my heroes? You're everything I'd like to be. If I fly higher than an eagle, you're the wind beneath my wings. Unless someone gets intimidated, because I want everybody to be at ease in here for just a few minutes. Unless somebody gets intimidated about hearing about this doctor who's been a superintendent and a principal and a teacher and assistant principal and a college dean, let me put all of that in perspective. At a church, I won't call the name because some of you go back and forth to Albany and you would tell on me, but there was a certain church where an old deacon decided he was going to be in the church play. Problem, like me, he had gotten to where he couldn't remember very much. So the play director first got upset, and then she decided, I'll just give him one little line. Surely to God, he can remember that. His line was, Lo, it is I, be not afraid. He practiced that line hard. In the barber shop, Lo, it is I, be not afraid. In Walmart, Lo, it is I, be not afraid. And the doctor's office, Lo, it is I, be not afraid. He had it down. Then word got out in the community that the deacon was in the church play. He thought there'd be 25 or 30 people there, but there were over 300 people in the audience. And when the curtain opened, deacon panicked. He couldn't remember his mind. He stood there for 3 or 4 nervous minutes, and then finally he said, "Don't y'all be scared, ain't nobody with me." Now that we've gotten that out of the way, just realize there ain't nobody with me. I say to those who might be intimidated to rest easy, because I only have a brief lesson tonight. The hour is far spent. I have stood between people and their prayers and their partying and other stuff before, and I know you don't stand very long. So please allow me to teach a brief lesson with the following 4 parts. Respect the dignity and worth of all people. You can be anything you want to be. Remember the object of the exercise, and it's all up to you. I'll say it again for those who are still awake. Respect the dignity and worth of all people. You can be anything you want to be. Remember the object of the exercise, and it's all up to you. Respect the dignity and worth of all people. One of my heroes is the late General Culbreath. He was known to sit down beside 2 or 3 privates, corporals, unranked people, and treat them just like he treated generals and admirals. That may be a source of some of his success, because he respected the dignity and worth of our people. But someone told me a story, and I know it's a true story because I only use true stories. Even those I make up are probably true. They said General Powell, when he was chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff for the United States of America, was seated at a table with other generals and admirals at a dinner at the White House. When the young waiter passed by, General Powell said, "Excuse me, young man, I'd like another pat of blood." The young man said, "They told me to give everybody 1 pat." He said, "Son, do you know who I am?" The boy said, "No." He said, "I'm General Colin Powell, chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff for the United States of America, and I need another pat of blood." The waiter said, "You know who I am?" "No, I'm in charge of the blood. Everybody gets 1 pat." We need to respect the people who are in charge of the border, who serve the food, who clean the restrooms, who drive the buses, and do all the other things we don't want to do. Respect the dignity and worth of all people, because God didn't make no job. Lesson number 2. Believe you can be anything you want to be. And that comes from my 9th grade year as a student in high school. You see, I got started kind of early. I started when I was 5. I caused the first grade teacher so much trouble until she put me in the 2nd grade in January. And by the time I got to 3rd grade, I was 2 years younger than everybody else. So I started in 9th grade at 12 years old, and by the way, I was small for my age. People kept telling me, "Oh, you still is over there. You need to go back over there." I've been over there. I was the smartest student over there. Well, 1960, 12 years old, I didn't have a whole lot of ambition. I just wanted a pocket full of money and a 57 Chevrolet, that's all. I lived in the projects in a single-parent home, and not very many people had cars. That's why you have to dream beyond where you are. I saw that car. I got it in my closet now. It's a model of a 1957 Chevrolet, remote control. So I I decided I needed money to get my car. And I met Sputnik Monroe that summer. Professional wrestler, heavyweight champ. He had a pocket full of money, had a roll just like that, probably all $1 bills, but I was only 12 years old. It looked like $1 million to me. So I decided I was going to be a professional wrestler. I weighed 95 pounds, but I knew I was going to grow. So when I hit Culbreath High School in the fall of 1960, 12 years old, future professional wrestler, I went in walking like Sputnik. A teacher stopped me. In those days, teachers could put their hands on you without getting locked up or had being sued. So the teacher said, "Son, there's something wrong with you?" I scratched away from her. I said, "So that's the way professional wrestlers walk." She took me in the room and she used her finger some. And then she did as only there's no other race of people in the world that can do this but black women. She started working that neck. You're walking around here being silly, you're wasting time, you got unrealistic expectations. You need to get a hold of yourself, young man. She gave me about 15 minutes, and that was long enough for me to figure I don't want to see this lady anymore. At 8:35, I saw her again. She was my 9th grade English teacher. She used words to describe me, words that I had never heard before. Words like uncouth, indifferent, and nonchalant. And I went and looked them up. And I didn't like what I saw. So throughout the year, she threw those words out, sometimes good, sometimes bad. She tricked me into learning the meaning of a whole lot of words. She tricked me into reading books. She tricked me into speaking correctly. We wrestled all the way through the 9th grade. In June, I said, "See you bye." And she said, "See you bye." She was also my 10th grade English teacher. We survived 10th grade. She said she was going to start where she left off. She was also my 11th grade English teacher. And somewhere between 9th and 11th grade, she saw something in me that I didn't even know was there. But she made me see it too. Teachers touch the future. They teach, they inspire, they motivate. She made me believe that I could be anything I wanted to be if I was willing to work hard and obey the rules. A lot of years passed, and in 1995, at a church in Atlanta on Mother's Day, I had my mother, my wife, and my 2 daughters with me. And this same teacher was a member of that church. And one of those churches with so many members till you don't ever see some of them because you have different services. But I heard her voice at the top of some steep steps. And I ran up those steps. I know the lady was scared because she hadn't seen me for many, many years. And here I come charging at her on the top of the steps. But then she recognized me and she hugged me. And she told her husband, "This is that student that I've been telling you about." Her husband said, "That must be John Culbreath." I told my wife and my children, "This is that teacher." They said, "That must be Mrs. Randall." And it was. We touched each other at a place where we began to trust each other and listen to each other, just like you and I and some of the others have done. And we proved to the world that you can be anything you want to be. You're willing to do 2 things. And this is for your children and your grandchildren. Because a lot of you, I can tell by your hair, or absence thereof, that you probably retired. But tell your children and your grandchildren you can do anything you want to do, be anything you want to be, if you're willing to work hard and obey the rules. Remember the object of the exercise. If you keep it up, that's number 3. We just got one more. We can go to the house. Remember the object of the exercise. Some of my colleagues remember when we used to make children remember by making them write something 100 times. If you write 100 times, you never remember it. So there was a little boy in the English class who always said, I have went. And we all know he should have said, I have gone. Well, the teacher decided to break it from saying, I have went. She made him write after school on the board 100 times, I have gone. And he wrote so slowly until the teacher had a doctor appointment. So she said, Johnny, finish writing your sentences, baby. Now, I'll check them in the morning. Turn off the light before the door when you leave. And so he did. The next morning, Miss Johnson walked into the room, looked on the board 100 times in uphill letters, I have gone. Johnny had completed the exercise. At the end of the board, there was just a little bit of space. So he wrote his teacher a note. Dear Miss Johnson, I have finished my sentences and I have went home. He forgot the object of the exercise. He forgot the object of the exercise. There's a family in Albany headed by Dr. John I. Davis and his wife, Dr. Iris Davis. They raised 4 boys, 4 young men, and they told them to remember the object of the exercise in this way. Don't forget who you are. Don't forget where you are. And don't forget what you're supposed to be doing. Don't forget who you are. Don't forget where you are. And don't forget what you're supposed to be doing. That recipe I share with you because all 5 of those young men turned out well. They all wound up going to college on scholarships. The dad taught them how to cut hair. They all did a little extra change cutting hair in the dormitory. And they always remembered, don't forget who you are, where you are, and what you're supposed to be doing. And you can back a child up if they remember those things easily. How do I end this lesson? Because on your way out, there's going to be they're going to pass out a test, and those who don't pass will have to come in and write, I will pay attention on that wall when they pass. But I want to end it with one of my favorite endings, and that is Fannie Lou Hamer, the late Fannie Lou Hamer, sharecropper, civil rights activist. She used to try to get people registered to vote on the Mississippi Delta, and they would lock her up, they'd beat her up, and as soon as she got out of the hospital, she'd go back and register some more. They said, why do you keep doing this, Fannie Lou? What's wrong with you? She said, I'm sick and tired. I'm just sick and tired of being sick and tired. That's not why I mentioned Fannie Lou. I mentioned her because of the story that she told. She told the story of 5 little boys who decided to skip school. We used to call it playing hooky. You have to hide until school is out so you don't get caught. So they were in the woods and started just messing around. They found a little bird and started teasing and torturing the bird. And then when it was time to go continue being at school, because they heard the buses running, they decided to play a trick on the old lady who sat on the porch. So what are we going to do? So, well, I'm going to hold this bird behind my back. And we'll ask her, is he dead or is he alive? If she says dead, well, let him fly away. She's going to be wrong. If she says alive, I'm going to crush him to death behind my back. And she's still going to be wrong. Let's go. They walked up to the porch. Yo, old lady. She said, yeah, baby. I got a bird behind my back. Mm-hmm. Is he dead? Or is he alive? She never looked up. She said, honey, I don't know. It's in your hands. And so it is with the class of 71 and the class of 70. Will you respect the dignity and worth of all people because God didn't make no junk? Will you believe that you can be anything you want to be if you're willing to work hard and obey the rules? Will you remember the object of the exercise? I don't know. It's in your hands. It's in your hands. It's in your hands. It's in your hands. Thank you so much for having me, and may the good Lord bless you real good. Thank you.
We, class 77, would like to thank you with this honorary for attending our training.
Can't hear you, Charles.